to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. I'm your host today, Josh, all alone with you guys, and I've got my mock draft 2.0 post-NFL Combine edition, trying to get one more mock in here before NFL free agency opens up. The new league year starts on Wednesday next week. So just taking all the information we got from the Combine last week, all the rumors, which we've dug into those heavily on the last couple episodes of the podcast. So if you've missed those, head back in the feed, check those out if you want some updates about everything that came out of the Combine surrounding the Cleveland Browns. But today, I want to give mock draft 2.0 a little bit of love here because got some things that are a little different from the last one, and I will go through and at each pick talk about who I took last time and who I'm taking this time, try to make it different picks so I wasn't repeating anybody, just to give it some variance, but still try to stay along the lines of what not necessarily I would do if I were picking, but what I believe the Cleveland Browns and Andrew Berry in this front office would do. So we will dive into that here in a minute. If you're just stopping by for the mock draft, skip ahead. We got some news for the Browns real quick that I'm going to break down. Before I do, though, make sure you guys like this video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell so you don't miss anything that's coming. We got more mock drafts coming up. I'm going to do a mock after about a week of free agency, and we'll see what kind of moves the Browns make and how that might impact their decisions during the draft. I'll do another mock, maybe two more in April, just gearing up for that final reality at the end of April in the real NFL draft. Going to be a ton of fun. Got a lot of good stuff coming. And to kind of kick everything off here, the big news today is that the Cleveland Browns have restructured again Deshaun Watson's contract, and that frees up about $35.8 million in cap space for the season. So I'm going to go back through. I did this with Kenny a couple episodes ago, just to rehash real quick the Browns cap situation, because I know it's confusing. The cap, it's still very confusing for me. And if you just listen to the public opinion about the Browns and the salary cap, this team won't be able to field a roster for the next decade. We're going to be taking the field with, 9 guys on each side of the ball. Maybe if we're lucky, we can't sign anybody. No one's coming here. It's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen in the NFL. We won't even have a complete roster. That's not exactly the case. So we've talked about this, but we'll do it again. So the Cleveland Browns have $351 million in total cap allocation. Okay, now that was, before today, the highest in the NFL. The NFL salary cap for 2025 was set at $279.2 million. The Browns rolled over $42 million from last season. So that gave the Browns an adjusted cap of $321. So if you take where they had their cap allocation $351, the adjusted cap of $321, there's some other figures in there, but essentially the Browns before today, were right around $23 million over the salary cap. I've been trying to tell people we're not rolling into free agency next week, $23 million over the cap. We are going to not be big players in free agency, but we're still going to sign people. We still got to put a roster together. And for all the crap that Andrew Berry takes for the Deshaun Watson trade, for a lot of these draft picks not developing over the years, whatever you may want to throw at him, whatever shade you got against Andrew Berry, that's fine. I'll listen to all of it because it's all, there's credit to be had in anything you want to say, except for cap management. He is a great manager of the cap. He understands it better than most. The Browns handle the cap better than most. And what makes a lot of this possible, I'll talk about a little more in a minute, but is having Jimmy Haslam, an owner who's willing to pony up the cash to make this style of cap management feasible. And it works for the Browns. Now, the play on the field, that's a whole other story. But in terms of just the cap and having the players on the roster, the method they're using really does work. So I was talking about how the Browns could save or clear up to around $68 million in cap space simply by they can cut trade after June 1st. These are post-June 1st designations. They could do something with Jack Conklin to save up almost $12 million, or they could restructure him to free up almost $10 million. I would imagine they're going to be restructuring Jack Conklin. A Denzel Ward restructure is around $9 million. They could trade Greg Newsome and save over $13 million toward the cap, which I kind of anticipate Greg Newsome being part of a trade package coming up. And then again, there's just some other players that they can finagle, some restructures to free up $1 million here, $2 million there. And the big one was Deshaun Watson that I talked about. They could restructure his contract for this season and save up almost $36 million in cap space. And that's exactly what they did today. So all those moves, say they get to that $68 million in cap, whatever, they will be around $45 million under the cap. Plenty of room to work, to sign free agents, to do the things they do. And you got to remember, I putting out on social media ideas. Do you guys want the Browns to try to trade for this player or that guy? Maybe, Andrew Berry's going to swing a trade for a wide receiver. Who knows? And a lot of people, the instant feedback is, well, how are they going to trade for a guy when they can't pay him? They never pay. They don't trade for guys and then pay them with this year's money. They always pay guys like Jerry Jeudy. They didn't extend him for last year with 2024 money. No, they extended him with 2025 and $6 and $7. So that's how the Browns are working this. And then next year, they'll do the same thing. And the year after that. And like we talked to Jack Duffin from OBR, as long as the Browns implement this cap strategy year over year over year, in theory, it's going to just keep working the way it's working. And it's never really going to be an enormous problem. And here's an interesting tweet from Tom Pelissero. He says, the Browns have now paid out the vast majority of Deshaun Watson's 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract. All that's left is a minimum salary this season and a $46 million salary in 2026. Deshaun Watson will get cut post June 1st next offseason in 2026. And remember, we don't know the final numbers of this stuff yet. I mean, I think you can we could go find the reports and see what they're estimating it to be, but there's going to be injury insurance, cap relief for Deshaun Watson from last year because he missed, it was over half the season again, and he's going to miss this entire season, most likely, to injury. So we're going to get extra cap relief on top of this $36 million that they just cleared up. We're going to get more cap relief this year from the injury insurance. And then next year, we're going to get even more. And they'll probably cut him. Well, they'll probably restructure his deal next year, if I understand this correctly. And if I don't, if somebody has more information, better, whatever, just drop it in the comments, let me know. But as I understand it from reading Jack Duffin, next year, they'll probably do the same thing in the offseason. They'll probably restructure his contract, spread it out over 2 more seasons, and then come June 1st, he's cut. Well, they'll probably post June 1 designate him like right now in March and say he's done, he's off the roster. That won't go into effect until June 2nd. Whatever, it's just bookkeeping information there. And then the Browns will just have dead cap hits for Deshaun Watson in 26 and 27. But that's it. He won't be here anymore. And like Tom Pelissero says, they've pretty much paid out the vast majority of it already. So we need to quit worrying about Deshaun Watson's contract hampering the team and crippling the team, and we can't do anything because of the contract, and we got to kick Nick Chubb to the curb because of Deshaun Watson's contract. Guys, we got plenty of money. We're going to have plenty of cap space that whatever team offers Nick Chubb a contract, we'll have the option, if we choose, to match it or to try to go over it a little bit to get Nick Chubb to come back to Cleveland. But again, we've talked about that situation. If a team gives Nick Chubb the sun, moon, and stars to come play for them, the Browns are probably going to say, okay, good for you, Nick. Go for it. Go get that money. It's just not going to be here with us. Analytically speaking, and you guys know my philosophy on aging running backs as well, especially aging injured running backs. It's a bad gamble. It's just not a smart money move. And I know as a fan, like you guys, we all want Nick Chubb back. And I'm hoping that's how it works out. I still think that's how it's going to work out. I think that he'll get offered a contract that the Browns feel comfortable matching and maybe even just bumping up a little bit to give him that little extra boost. Maybe they incentivize it a little better to get him back on the roster. So that is my, what is today, March 6th prediction for Nick Chubb. We'll see what happens next week, and we will definitely be keeping an eye on all of that news. But okay, let's kick it over here to Mock Draft 2.0. I know this is what you guys wanted to come in here and talk about. We're done talking about Deshaun Watson and all that. I just wanted to say, basically, we got good news on that front in terms of the cap, free agency coming up, and all that stuff. Mock Draft 2.0 is going to kick it off. I'm just going to dive. Well, first, before I dive right in, remind everybody, I am basing this. I'm not using a simulator or anything like that to kind of go through this mock draft. I'm using NFL mock draft database that takes an aggregate of all the mock drafts being done to kind of show the movements of players. There's players that when I was putting this mock draft together earlier in the week, I had a guy pegged at 94 that I wanted for this mock draft. And by the time I got here today and I went back through to make sure my notes were good and everything, he had already moved up like 15 spots and he was out of my range. I'm like, well, I can't draft that guy at 94 because he is now out of the range. So I like NFL mock draft database. It does a good job keeping current with the movements of these players, and they're moving all the time. It's so cool to go in and watch. There are guys that I took at these spots last week or 2 weeks ago. They're nowhere close. They're either way further back. I can get them a lot later now, or I got to move up or take them with a whole round sooner after the combine. Things have changed. So I'm going to go through this and we're going to talk about each guy, talk about some notes, and why I think that would probably, or in this mock draft, what my mindset is for the Browns picking that specific player at that spot. This episode is sponsored by Butcher Box for Pets. Browns fans, it's about time the Dawgs offered you something for the real dogs in your life. Our furry friends aren't just pets, they're part of the family. And you wouldn't let yourself or your children eat strange meat from questionable sources, and your dog shouldn't either. Right now, head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs or use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, to get 20% off your entire order. At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by a vet nutritionist to contain zero artificial flavors or preservatives. You get protein-packed formula with over 50% of the recipe comprised of third-party certified humane ButcherBox meat, plus functional ingredients like pre- and postbiotics to support your dog's vitality and digestion. And ButcherBox even removes the guesswork for you. Their custom meal plans are perfectly portioned to fit your dog's nutritional needs based on 8 factors, including age, weight, and activity level. I know my home wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog, and it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of that factory processed garbage from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to add dog food to the shopping list ever again. ButcherBox delivers their high-quality food right to your door on the right feeding schedule for your dog. And you can change, modify, or pause your plan at any time. So head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs and use promo code DAWGS for 20% off your order. It's time for all of us dogs to give all of our dogs the nutrition they deserve. All right, now finally to kick it off. At pick 2, I'm just saying either the Tennessee Titans decide that, you know what, Shedeur Sanders is our guy, or the Las Vegas Raiders trade up to 1 because they want the Raiders, Tom Brady, they want Shedeur Sanders in prime in Vegas. They take Sanders number 1 overall, leaving the Cleveland Browns with their preferred quarterback in this simulation of mine, of course, because I talked about that in the last episode, why I think that Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, fits the profile more of the quarterback that a guy like Andrew Berry is looking for. He's the athletic, he's the more mobile, he's the bigger playmaker, all that kind of stuff. Plays off script the way that Andrew Berry tends to like his quarterback. So at pick 2 in this mock draft, the Browns take Cam Ward, 6'2", 225. Notes from Pro Football Network: Cam Ward is the ultimate playmaker at quarterback, boasting elite arm talent, effortless velocity, and dynamic athleticism. His confidence and creativity set him apart, but his tendency for risky throws and inconsistent footwork can lead to trouble. Talked about that a lot already this offseason about Cam Ward, things that can be coached. Staying on schedule within the offense will be the key to his development. With time to refine his mechanics behind a veteran, Ward has the ceiling of a franchise quarterback capable of making the game's biggest throws. The Browns swing big, go high, take Cam Ward to be the next franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And personally, I think he would succeed. I've got a lot of faith in Cam Ward coming into the NFL. Everything I've watched from him, all the tape, all the film, everything I've read and listened to about him, by all accounts, all the teams at the Combine came away very impressed with him from his interviews. And, you know, the Browns are hosting him here. I think it's today that he's coming into Cleveland. They had Shedeur and Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter in yesterday. Today is all about Cam Ward in Cleveland for the Browns. So we'll see what ends up happening with that number 1 pick. If Tennessee sticks there, I think it's more likely they take Cam Ward. If New York trades up, right now I'm kind of 50-50 split. I think they like Cam Ward, but I could see them also going Shedeur Sanders. But if a team like the Raiders would move up to 1, I'd feel pretty confident they're coming up for Shedeur, and we're going to be able to stick it 2 and get our guy in Cam Ward. So we'll see how it plays out. So Browns got their quarterback. Awesome. We're partying all draft night. Woohoo. Yeah, I don't really care what happens the rest of the first round. We got our guy, and it's just going to be a great night. And then the night ends, and we're sitting there and we're looking at the board. Who is the best available player? Because the Browns get the first pick on night 2. Pick 33 in the first pick in the second round. And in this, if I'm going through mock draft database and everything, and the guy that is available around that 33 to 37 range. So mock drafts across the internet are predicting that there's a good chance he won't make it in the first round and that he will be available right there at the top of 2. And the Browns take him. And they're going to beef up that O-line. We got great news this week. Joel Bitonio is going to come back. He's not going to retire. But there's restructure implications. There's cut trade, cap relief to be had with Wyatt Teller. Don't really know. I know there was talk during the season about extending him. But we've got Zach Zinner from last draft waiting in the wings. Joel Bitonio's back. He's older, obviously, considering retirement. Teller's not a young guy either. Kind of expensive right now. The Browns take at pick 33, Donovan Jackson, the offensive guard from Ohio State, 6'4", 315. NFL Pro Football Database says Donovan Jackson is poised to be a top interior offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft, showcasing an impressive resume at Ohio State. At 6'4", 320, he combines sharp intelligence, explosive mobility, and powerful strength. With solid athleticism and punchy hands, Jackson has all the tools to become a long-term force on an NFL offensive line. Now here's from the NFL Draft Profile. It says, broad-framed, 3-year starter with core power and leg drive to hold the line of scrimmage or change it. He can stick and sustain in line or on the second level and is a plus finisher. Jackson has the athleticism for all tasks as an outside zone blocker. He is also able to accelerate and lead the way on long pulls or counters. He leans against stunting, slanting fronts, and he can be tardy in opening his hips and activating his feet for recoveries. He's long, but punches with wider hands and struggles to consistently maintain his edges when mirroring. Overall, Jackson has the measurables, power, and movement for any scheme as a starting guard. Boom. The Browns lock up a long-term starting offensive lineman at pick 33 here in the 2025 NFL Draft. And again, I'm just going off the NFL mock draft database. I know a lot of people out there are probably screaming, there's no way he gets out of the first round. I tend to agree with you. I tend to believe Donovan Jackson will be a first-round pick, but I'm just going off of the aggregate information here and the hope that a guy, at pick 33, there's going to be dudes. There are going to be dudes available. It's essentially another first-round pick for the Browns. So there's a chance. There's going to be somebody good there, and in this mock draft, there's a chance it's Donovan Jackson. Browns nab him. Okay, so let's move to pick 67. The third pick in the third round, we got Cam Ward. We got another guy for the offensive line. Let's get another weapon for our new quarterback and this offense that we're excited to see now that it's no longer Ken Dorsey running it. And at pick 3 in the third round, pick 67, I'm cheating a little bit. And I guess I haven't even done this yet, guys. I apologize. I'm not even referring back to my last draft. So mock 1.0, pick 2 was Shedeur Sanders. This time it's Cam Ward. In mock 1.0, pick 33 was Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon. In this one, it was Donovan Jackson, the offensive guard from Ohio State. Last draft in 1.0, I took Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa at pick 67. In this draft, I'm cheating just a little bit because I've got 2 guys at 67, and I don't care at this point in time which the Browns decide to go with, but at pick 67, third pick in the third round, give me one of the two Iowa State wide receivers. Either give me Jaylin Noel, who I was able to take in my mock 1.0 at pick 94, not even close to 94 now. After the combine and after the hype that's surrounding Jaylin Noel right now, nope. He is not available at 94. So you got to take him here at 67, or you take his teammate, Jayden Higgins. So let's talk about these two. Again, this is the only repeat I have from last week, but I love Jaylin Noel so much that I'm keeping him in here for now. So Jaylin Noel, 5'10", 194. Let me pull up his NFL Combine stats here real quick. So at the Combine, he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. He had a 1.51 10-yard split, a 41.5-inch vertical, 11-foot 2-inch broad jump, 6.82 second 3-cone drill, a 4.17 second 20-yard shuttle, and he benched 23 reps on the bench press. And that was the most of all the wide receivers, unless I'm mistaken. I'm pretty sure he was pretty jacked up about his strength showing there at the NFL Combine. And why shouldn't he be? It was awesome. With 1,013 yards and 6 touchdowns this season, Noel's explosive release and stride make him tough to defend. While improving his route running adds to his game, he can push for a day 2 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. He'll be a day 2 pick for sure. Noel's blend of receiving and return talent could carry more sway with teams given the league's new kickoff rules in 2024. He's primarily a slot receiver, but has enough size and speed to kick outside if you need him to. His routes can be a little unfocused, but that's correctable with coaching. What cannot be coached is his consistent play speed. He can accelerate and separate from turns and stems and tends to uncover on cross-country routes. The catch focus can be a little inconsistent, but he is willing to mix it up in the middle of the field and is a natural after the ball in his hands. Noel's upside and punt kick return could make him a day 2 pick with the potential to develop into a starter. I think he's going to be a great receiver. We need somebody to really fill in that slot role for the Browns, and I think he could dominate for the Browns as a rookie in that position. And I like that he's got the versatility to handle punt and kick returns, because we need that too in a bad way. So you can really lock down 2 positions that you have big holes in right now. Our return game sucks, and our receiving room is thin. You nail 2 of them with Jaylin Noel. But say the Browns want to go a different route. And some of you guys watching, listening are going to say this too. I hear it all the time. Quit giving me those small receivers. I don't want another sub 6-foot receiver. Well, Jaylin Noel is your sub 6-foot receiver. But if you don't want him, okay, let's take Jayden Higgins, 6'4", 214 pounds. Let's look at Higgins' NFL Combine. He ran a 4.47 40-yard dash, a 1.53 10-yard split, 39-inch vertical, a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, and then he didn't do the cone or the shuttle or the bench press. So Jaylin Noel's numbers were, am I right in this, all better than Jayden Higgins. But again, if you want the bigger bodied receiver, I mean, we do have Cedric Tillman, guys. We do have the outside receiver, the 6'3", 6'4", 220 receiver. We have Jerry Jeudy. I think Jaylin Noel would be a better fit for our wide receiver room. But if you want another big guy, Jayden Higgins is a wide receiver known for his impressive size and reliable hands. After transferring from Eastern Kentucky to Iowa State, he recorded 87 receptions for 1,183 yards and 9 touchdowns this past season, earning second-team All-Big 12 honors. Higgins excels in contested catch situations, utilizing his frame to shield defenders and secure the ball effectively. However, his limited agility can make it challenging for him to create separation on sharply breaking routes. Higgins' combination of size, ball skills, and productivity make him a valuable asset in possession and vertical passing schemes. NFL Draft profile. Big inside-outside wideout with modest athletic attributes, but outstanding ball skills that can make him a projectable NFL prospect. Higgins needs a more limited route tree, but can operate on all 3 levels in the right scheme. He's smooth but physical in his routes and does a nice job of creating pockets of separation with force and strength. He has mismatched qualities from the slot with body control and a catch radius that make him a menace on jump balls downfield. He won't outrun cornerbacks and is nothing special after the catch, but his size, ball skills, and competitiveness creates a profile of production as a future contributor in 3 wide sets. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, I like both these guys. Give me one of the Iowa State receivers here at pick 67. Jayden Higgins, I think you kind of have that covered already with Cedric Tillman. That's my opinion. I would prefer Jaylin Noel, but you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. All right, so as I mentioned before, pick 94 last mock, I took Jaylin Noel, and pick 94 this mock. We are now, after going offense for the first 3 picks, we're kicking it over to the defensive side of the ball. Andrew Berry, I said this last time, He has never taken his first defensive tackle later than the third round of the NFL draft, and he's taken at least one in every single draft. So defensive tackle, not end, not edge rusher, not cornerback, not offensive line. Defensive tackle is the singular position that Andrew Berry drafts the most heavily, and he never leaves a draft without one. A lot of times he takes two, and he never drafts one later than the third round. So here at the end of the third round, pick 94, the 30th pick in the third round, we are taking Jamaree Caldwell, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. 6'2", 332 pounds. Jamaree Caldwell pairs an eye-catching first step with beautiful natural leverage and a knack for disengaging from blocks and making plays on runners. He plays with an almost immeasurably wide base to thwart the effects of double teams, and his aggressive nature to cut off reach blockers makes him effective against wide zone and downhill runs. NFL Draft Profile says Caldwell carries the broad hips and girth of a classic nose tackle, but he is athletic enough to take snaps at either tackle spot in and even front. He can eat blocks against double teams or hog gaps as a read and react two-gapper. He gets bounced around some when he plays two straight-legged or ends up on the ground when he loses control. But he plays with heart and has a strong win rate at the point. He's a hustle rusher with the potential to dent the pocket when singled up. Caldwell has middle round value, but could find starters reps in the future. Just kind of sounds like the guy that Andrew Berry would like in this spot in the draft. So at pick 94, I take Jamaree Caldwell, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. Now, we move to the fourth round, couple picks later, pick 103, the second pick in the fourth round, and Andrew Berry's on the clock, and there's a guy here that Barry Shuck saw down at the Senior Bowl, raved about this guy. He was impressed with him, and we're going to take him. So last mock at 103, I took Dorian Strong, the cornerback out of Virginia Tech. We are staying defense here, but we are going to grab another guy to throw right next to Jamaree Caldwell on that defensive line. We're going to start building that thing up. You know that the Browns front office focuses heavily on the trenches, especially in the draft. And that's why at pick 103, we're taking Sai'vion Jones, the edge rusher from LSU. 6'5", 280 pounds. Sai'vion Jones is a powerful and athletic pass rusher with a strong physical playing style and a relentless approach off the edge. The former multi-sport high school athlete has NFL-ready size at 6'6", 280 pounds, and he is still honing his pass rushing skills. With his natural length, he effectively creates leverage and showcases impressive techniques, including a strong swim move with his long arms. A team should consider taking a chance on Jones early on day 3 of the draft. At 4'3" defensive end who fits the NFL mold with size, toughness, and effort, Jones has good bend and a couple of reliable moves to unlock the top of the rush. He rarely works beyond pocket depth and has an instinctive secondary rush to cook in the pocket. His hands are twitchy and violent, but he allows blockers into his frame a little too often. Maximum energy is exerted on every rep, but he might need to improve pacing to become more consistent against the run. Jones's translatable traits and rush talent make him an ascending prospect who could see early third down reps before taking on a starting spot in the future. Just screams value, versatility, high motor, effort, the stuff that Andrew Berry's looking for this defensive line. So at pick 103, Sai'vion Jones, edge rusher out of LSU. Welcome to Cleveland. All right, pick 165. Last draft, I took Seth McLaughlin, the interior offensive line center out of Ohio State. We've already got a lineman. We took Donovan Jackson at pick 33. So here is where I am ready to take our new face of the backfield, baby. 165, pick 26 in the 5th round. I'm taking Cam Ward's teammate from Miami, Damien Martinez, the running back. 6 foot, 217 pounds. Let's look at his combine numbers here. Damien Martinez ran a 4.5 140. He had a 1.56 10-yard split. He had a 35-inch vertical, and he had a 10-foot 4-inch broad jump, and that was the only thing. He didn't test on the other things there. Damien Martinez, when I was watching Cam Ward film, I could not stop watching Damien Martinez because, a lot of times when I'm watching these plays, it's, okay, this is a run, just kind of skip ahead to the next pass, I quit doing that because I wanted to watch the run plays. Damien Martinez was so fun to watch, so good, so explosive, and his vision was something else. So here are the write-ups. Damien Martinez is a powerful and explosive running back who excels at running between the tackles and breaking through defenses. He combines a strong lower body with excellent balance, making it difficult to bring down on first contact. I saw a lot of that. Martinez's vision and patience allow him to find and exploit running lanes. There are concerns about his top-end speed and pass blocking, which may limit his potential draft value this year. However, he could have an early career role as a short yardage back with the potential to develop into a larger role. NFL draft profile, productive 3-year starter with an impressive blend of power, dexterity, and decisiveness. That's what we need. Make a freaking decision, make a cut, and go. First and foremost, Martinez is truly a big back who proves he can find yards after contact on most carries. He lacks speed to win outside, but does a nice job creating alternate routes using vision and agility when it's congested inside. Despite a lack of breakaway speed, Martinez averaged 6.2 yards per carry on 515 career totes. He can catch passes here and there, but could be best dialed in as a complementary banger capable of taking on the lion's share of the carries if needed. Say the Browns are still hell-bent on keeping Jerome Ford in that change of pace receiving back role for the Browns. Pair him up with a guy like Damien Martinez. This would be perfect, in my opinion. If you guys have followed us on social media or anything, I'm big on Damien Martinez. I think he's going to be a good running back in the NFL. And, this lack of breakaway speed, I kind of want to address that here. They run the 40-yard dash at the combine and all that stuff, but how often do players in the NFL run 40 yards untouched? Or how often do they break, 60-yard touchdowns? And so that they don't get caught from behind. Like, that's a big thing. Don't want to get caught from behind on the long runs. It doesn't happen very often. What I prioritize, that's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have that ability, but Jerome Ford has that ability. So think about Jerome Ford when I'm talking about this stuff. Jerome Ford has that ability to hit the home run. But what does he lack? He lacks the ability to consistently pick up good chunks of yardage on most of his carries. Most of the time he's getting hit at the line or behind the line, and we're negative plays when he's running the ball. Give me a guy who, no matter where he gets hit, he's picking up positive yards every time he gets the carry. That's what I want. And if Damien Martinez can be a 4.5 yards per carry average rusher in the NFL, that's good enough for me. That's what I want. That helps you move the sticks, keep drives going, and ultimately win ball games. He's a tough kid. He's got great vision, and he's a lot faster than what maybe some of this, his game speed. If you watch the tape, I have no worries whatsoever about what Damien Martinez could do. This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS. All right, we'll speed this up here a little bit now that we're over to the second half of the draft. Pick 181, the fifth pick in the sixth round. Let's see. We didn't have this pick in the last draft. I'm not even sure where this pick came from, but there's so many of these compensatory picks and things like that. You guys just let me know in the comments. Where did we pick up pick 181? Let me know. I should have looked that up before I did this, but I didn't. Anyway, I made the pick, and it's Mitchell Evans, the tight end from Notre Dame. The Browns finally pulled the trigger. Second time in 6 years that the Browns are drafting a tight end. Harrison Bryant is the only one we've ever taken. Mitchell Evans leads Notre Dame in 2024 with 3 receiving touchdowns, highlighting potential concerns with the passing offense at Notre Dame. Still, the 6'5", 253-pound tight end shines as a natural receiver, using his size and spatial awareness to create mismatches. He's a combination tight end who came back strong from a season-ending knee injury in 2023 and got better and more productive as the season progressed. Evans is willing as a blocker and has the size to help in that area, but he would be more consistent with better pad level and strain to finish what he starts. He catches passes aligning in line or from the slot, frames up defenders to create catch space when contested. He has good ball skills and put a couple of spectacular catches on tape, but he will lose effectiveness beyond the second level. Evans' size and dual capacity ability on all three downs gives him a chance to become a starter with average catch production. Hey, we're in the 6th round here. We're just trying to find tight end depth. Sounds like a good bet to me. All right, moving on. Pick 194. And the last mock draft, I took Tyler Beatty, the edge rusher out of BYU. Today, I am taking at pick 16 in the 6th round, Maxen Hook, the safety out of Toledo, 6 foot, 202 pounds. He's a 4-year starter with the size, speed, and production to catch the attention of NFL evaluators in the middle rounds. Hook patrols the field with a tangible urgency to fly around and make plays. He's rangy over the top in coverage and plays with tremendous hustle to rack up tackles. His urgency also comes with missed run fits and occasional coverage mistakes when teams use misdirection against him. He has average pop as a tackler, but has cut down on his misses. He plays the game with passion and will be an instant contributor on special teams. Hook could develop into a solid backup with the flexibility to play interchangeably at safety. Reminder, these last picks here, we're not talking about 4th or 5th round guys. We are in the 6th and 7th round with these last picks. So you're looking for who can provide depth at positions you need depth, and primarily who can contribute on special teams, because you want special team starters are not necessarily your defensive starters. We don't have Denzel Ward out there, on the punt team and all that kind of stuff. We need these guys who can come in and contribute on special teams and provide depth, on the roster as well. So pick 194, Maxen Hook, safety out of Toledo. All right, moving on. We'll see how you guys like this pick. 202 on the last draft, I took Kyle Monangai, the running back out of Rutgers. But today, last draft, I doubled up at the running back. It was Caleb Johnson and Kyle Monangai. Today, I'm doubling up at another position, but it's going to be quarterback. We've talked a lot about the Browns need to draft 2 quarterbacks in this draft, and in this mock, they do. They get their QB of the future, Cam Ward, at pick 2. But here at pick 24 in the 6th round, 202, they take Kurtis Rourke, the quarterback out of Indiana. 6'4", 220 pounds. After transferring to Bloomington, Kurtis Rourke, has become a 2025 NFL draft prospect. In 2024, he completed 70.4% of his passes for 2,827 yards, 27 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions, leading the FBS with a 181.4 QB rating. Known for attacking downfield and handling pressure well, Rourke's success is aided by tailored schemes. While he lacks the arm strength and athleticism of most NFL starters, his vision, work ethic, and intelligence make him a solid long-term option at quarterback. And I'm looking at, we need a good backup quarterback. It's not DTR. We don't have anybody else on the roster. The Browns go out and they get their starting quarterback and they find their backup option in this draft. Rourke earns a draftable grade because of his size, experience, and production. He's coming off an ACL tear, but the injury might not have a major impact on his draft slotting since his game isn't built on his mobility anyway. Rourke's evaluation requires 2023 tape to get a good feel for his delivery and velocity when his knee is stable. While he can make pro throws, the accuracy and placement is average. He's a decent field reader who throws with adequate touch and anticipation. Rourke played winning football in 2024, and he's plenty tough, but he needs to take better care of the football if he wants to stick with an NFL team. We're almost here. We're almost in the 7th round, so we just take a backup quarterback, Kurtis Rourke. Got to swing. All right, couple picks left here, guys, and then we are wrapping up this one. Pick 206 on the last draft, I took Luke Lachey, the tight end out of Iowa. Today in the mock draft, it is Jaylin Smith, the cornerback out of USC, 5'10", 187. Jaylin Smith is a cornerback with average size and length, with versatility at box safety, free safety, slot corner, outside corner, fluid hips with good transitions, and the ability to stick with receivers in and out of breaks, efficient mover with good footwork, and the ability to match receivers off the line and downfield. Well below average on-ball production, only 4 career pass breakups, not a dominant player at the catch point, an effective blitzer who can put pressure on the quarterback, good read and reactability to make plays around the line of scrimmage, very good run defender, and open field tackler. At the end of the 6th round, to get this kind of versatile athlete in your secondary. He's not just a cornerback. He can play some safety. He can play all the cornerback spots. This is the type of guy that Andrew Berry and the Browns front office would probably key in on at this point for sure. He's a 3-year starter with measurables and ball production that could leave teams lukewarm on his NFL prospects. Smith plays with a narrow backpedal, glitchy transitions, and sluggish closing burst off man coverage. Buddy is much clingier from press man. He might not have the play strength, length, or top-end speed to be reliable on an island outside. The 2024 tape was better, and he does offer some inside-outside flexibility, but he might be fighting for a roster spot throughout his career. I don't expect the last 4 or 5 picks of our draft this year to be roster locks anyway. We'll see if the Browns even end up using all these picks that they have, but in these mock drafts, that's what I'm doing. Okay. Let's move on to pick 216. Last time I took Dante Trader Jr., the safety out of Maryland. Today at 216, at the end of the 6th round, pick 30, I am taking Rylie Mills, the defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. I actually really like this guy, so let's talk about him because I think, again, defensive tackle is a position they put high value on, and I could see Andrew Berry easily taking 2 of them in this draft. 6'5", 291 pounds. Rylie Mills has above average size and length, has elite play speed, and can close down on ball carriers in a hurry. An average run defender who doesn't play with consistent leverage, is a skilled pass rusher who can utilize a multitude of moves to get past linemen, consistently wins his pass rushing reps, had an 18.9 pass rush win rate in true pass sets this past season. He posted elite production in 2024 with 7.5 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. It's really good. He's accumulated a respectable 114 pressures across 1,033 pass rushing snaps. He's an elite tackler who has missed less than 6% of his career tackling attempts. We need that. I'm sick and tired of watching missed tackles on the Browns defense. Mills has the size, strength, and demeanor of a 3-4 defensive end. He's aggressive and physical in phone booth fistfights, but plays off blocks and tackles the gap around him. He's not much of a knee bender, so anchoring firm will get a lot tougher as a pro. He lacks explosive, twitchy movements as a rusher, but makes good use of heavy hands to carve open edges and get into the pocket. He's a better picker than twister and can bull rush unsuspecting guards. Mills could become a 3-down rotational piece, provided there are no lingering issues from the knee injury he suffered during the college football playoff. Again, if the medical comes back, the evaluation, the health check's all good to go, I would totally see the Browns taking a swing on Rylie Mills. 2 picks left here. It's the very next pick, actually, 217. Last week I took Nazir Stackhouse, defensive tackle out of Georgia. This time I am taking Cody Lindenberg, the linebacker out of Minnesota, a guy that Barry Shuck saw at the Senior Bowl. He was one of just 2 or 3 linebackers that stood out to Barry that he even presented to us on the show. 6'2", 236 pounds. Cody Lindenberg is a 5-year player who has only played 1,500 snaps in college, which means he has some legitimate durability concerns despite a nice frame. He finished his final season with 94 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. But he's an inconsistent tackler who has a tendency to overrun plays and has a career missed tackle rate of 17.2%, which would classify as below average. Lindenberg has decent straight line speed with the ability to close gaps on the field and is a physical run defender who has an impressive ability to shed blocks and make plays. Additionally, he has average ball skills and playmaking ability in coverage, as well as being average changing direction in space. Assignment-oriented linebacker and patient tackle collector from the second level. Lindenberg is long-legged with average play strength and posted explosive athletic testing numbers last spring. He has trouble taking on blocks and coming out on top, so he might need to become more active at flowing downhill and tilting the odds in his favor. He recognizes blocking schemes and sees clearly into the backfield, but allows separation when plays flow wide. He can handle basic zone drops, but will be mismatched against route runners. The on-field tape is fairly average, but the trait screams special teamer with backup potential. We're here, tail end of the 6th round. It's kind of all we're looking for. Give me some special team reps. Give me the potential to move into a backup role, depth piece at a position we really need. Barry Shuck really thought that this guy at the Senior Bowl exhibited strong traits in being able to play recognition and getting to his spot on time. So, there's just, it just matters. How did they use this guy at Minnesota? Where did they line him up? What was he a good fit in the scheme they were using him in? What made him such a standout at the Senior Bowl versus kind of what we're hearing through these write-ups about him. So we'll see about Cody Lindenberg, but he is a guy that I'm interested in. And it's primarily because Barry talked about him at the Senior Bowl. The guys that Barry comes back with, I really trust Barry's assessment on these players. And if you're getting one of those guys at the tail end of the 6th round, it's totally worth the flyer. And now we talk about the tail end of the entire draft, 257, the 32nd pick in the 7th round, the Mr. Irrelevant pick in the last draft for me was Kareem Reed, the linebacker out of Utah. Today, my Mr. Irrelevant pick is not irrelevant at all. It is actually super relevant for the Browns, and it's Andres Borregales, the kicker from Miami. That's right. I got 3 Miami Hurricanes coming to Cleveland this season in the draft. And this is a guy that Kenny Mack actually talked about a month ago or so as a draft target for the Browns at the kicker position. Barry Shuck talked about how the kicker position is really in question for the Browns. What is Dustin Hopkins? Is he the kicker for the Browns moving forward, or do we have to admit another defeat at another position that we just cannot seem to freaking ever get right? But here at the end of the draft, the Browns go ahead, secure this guy up with a pick rather than worrying about trying to sign him as a free agent. Andres Borregales, 5'11", 199 pounds. He showcased his reliability as Miami's kicker in 2024, converting nearly all of his field goals and extra points. Known for his consistency and strong leg, he drilled a career-long 56-yarder and proved to be one of the most accurate kickers in college football. His impressive performance has made him a promising prospect for the upcoming draft. He's a 4-year kicker who leaves Miami with a reputation for being accurate and clutch. The keys to Borregales' accuracy are his repeatable stroke and consistent ball striking. He doesn't have a cannon for a right leg, but he has enough power to hit it from distance at an admirable clip. He has a good chance to win a pro job as a rookie. And that's how we're wrapping up this draft. So let's go back through these picks real quick. At pick 2, we took the future quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, Cam Ward, out of Miami. Pick 33, we're beefing up his offensive line protection. Donovan Jackson, offensive guard out of Ohio State. Pick 67, I just want one of the Iowa State receivers to come in here and be a playmaking weapon. Either give me Jaylin, Noel, or Jaden Higgins. And then at pick 94, we switch over to defense. Let's start building that defensive line with some youth. We've got Jamaree Caldwell, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, followed at pick 103 by Sai'vion Jones, the edge rusher out of LSU. Back to offense at 165, we get Cam Ward's teammate, running back Damien Martinez out of Miami. He's going to be the new face of the backfield along with Jerome Ford. At 181, the Browns take Mitchell Evans, tight end out of Notre Dame. 194, it's Maxen Hook, the safety out of Toledo. At 202, we take our future backup quarterback, and it's Kurtis Rourke, the quarterback out of Indiana. 206 is Jaylin Smith, the cornerback out of USC. 216, Rylie Mills, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame, followed by Cody Lindenberg at 217, the linebacker out of Minnesota. And last, but certainly not least for the Browns, especially if this is the pick, it is Mr. Irrelevant, not so irrelevant, Andres Borregales, the kicker out of Miami. So that's Mock Draft 2.0 post NFL Combine edition. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, drop the players that you want the Browns to target at each position for you. I know we're all doing mock drafts like crazy, so let's share them, let's look at them, and let's talk about how we think the Browns could improve this roster heading into the 2025 season. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love doing these shows for you. Again, we will be back next week with more episodes, and I will be doing Mock Draft 3.0 after NFL free agency kicks in and we see some of the players that the Browns are signing, and that will dictate the players that we take, the positions we focus on in Mock Draft 3.0. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Head to jointhedogs.com if you want to become a Dog Pack member. We've had a handful of members joining in the last week or so, jumping in there, getting involved in the Discord, getting ready for fantasy football to come into play, because that's going to happen. I know it's only March, but I mean, we got dynasty leagues coming in there. We had a dynasty league that, was born last offseason. So maybe there's going to be a third one that's born this year. Who knows? But if you're in there, maybe you could even instigate the birth of that new dynasty league. Whatever you guys want it to be, that's what it will become. Dog Pack community is for you guys. First and foremost, diehard Browns community. It's a great place to be. Jointhedogs.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on the mock. catch you guys in the next one.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Baden Sports. Browns fans, Baden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Baden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Baden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Baden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Baden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Baden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Baden's website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Baden Sports, BADEN sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BadenSports.com/dogs.